a couple of scenarios that I'd like to propose to you, and I'm curious if you can relate to any of them. If you can, let me know. So the first scenario is you have been studying Spanish on your own for a while, but you're having trouble being consistent. So maybe one week you're able to study every day or almost every day, and the next week not at all. So you're just having trouble getting that consistency. The next scenario is maybe you've studied Spanish before, but it's been a while. So maybe it was high school and or college. It's been several years. You haven't really used it in that amount of time. So you know that you have Spanish skills in here. You just need to refresh and kind of get some practice with them to feel more comfortable with what you learned in the past. The next scenario is maybe you actually have been studying Spanish consistently, or you have a pretty good Spanish knowledge built up. You're pretty good in grammar, conjugations, things like that. But you're either too afraid or too embarrassed, or maybe both, to speak Spanish with Spanish speakers. So, for example, if you're at a Mexican restaurant and you know that the staff are Spanish speakers, maybe you're too embarrassed or afraid to actually place your order in Spanish or to try and have a short conversation with them, even though you have a lot of knowledge. Another scenario is perhaps when you have tried in the past to have a Spanish conversation with someone, you totally forget everything you know. So you know that you have a lot of Spanish knowledge in there and you've worked hard to get that. But you just all of a sudden, when you're put on the spot, you just completely forget and you just are like a fish out of water. You just have no idea what to say. And maybe in that scenario, maybe you can even understand the Spanish speakers. You can understand everything they're saying. You can keep up with their pace and the accent and everything. But you simply can't think of a response and say it in Spanish without like 20 minutes going by. Maybe that's your struggle. And another scenario is maybe you've tried some other method of learning Spanish and you just simply haven't got it to click. So maybe you've been learning through some other type of resources and you're just feeling like either you're not getting it or you're getting it, but then later you're not retaining it. Like, what did I study yesterday? I don't even remember. So if you can relate to any of those scenarios, I have created a product for you. I can totally understand, and I don't fault you at all, if any or all of those scenarios you have been in, because I have been in them as well. And so something like this product would have been so helpful to me when I was first learning Spanish, because there's that awkward period where you have some knowledge, and you just either don't have anybody to practice with, or you're just not comfortable making conversation. And we all go through that as English learners or English speakers learning Spanish. We all go through that. So the goal of this product is to try to minimize that awkward, uncomfortable time where you're just really having trouble and struggling with conversation, or maybe you're not even feeling comfortable enough to go into one at all. So what this product is they are 15-minute conversational sessions, all in Spanish. So the idea is to kind of simulate an immersion environment. So for example, if you were in a Spanish-speaking country or an area where no one spoke any English, the idea is to try to simulate that. In that type of situation, you would have to use whatever methods that you had available to you to communicate. So whether that's hand gestures, maybe it's using a dictionary or a translator app, maybe it is using a Spanish phrase book, and maybe it's even simply saying 2 words out of the whole sentence of words that you want to say and trying to get your point across with whatever vocabulary and tools that you have. And that's awesome. So these sessions are all in Spanish. I'm happy to repeat myself, say something slower, explain it in a different way, or otherwise explain and clarifying what I've said, but that will all be done in Spanish. And likewise with you, you're welcome to speak with me about really any topic. We can practice any certain grammar topics that you may have been working on or would like to get more experience with. We can talk about current events, any particular topic, your day, the weather, a new movie, anything like that we can speak about in Spanish. And so the idea is that with these short and regular sessions, you'll get frequent practice, but because that time frame of 15 minutes is so short compared to, say, an hour or something like that, it'll be a place to start building up that confidence where it's not quite as intimidating as trying to speak Spanish for an hour. And most people, and probably if you're watching this, you probably are one of them, can actually speak for 15 minutes in Spanish, whether or not they think so. So not one-sided, giving a speech or presentation with no preparation, but if the other person is working with you and making an effort, you can usually keep a conversation going for 15 minutes. I find that many people don't give themselves enough credit for how much Spanish they actually know. You might feel that you only know 10 or 20 words in Spanish, but if you can understand me and say sí or no, or if I give you a couple of choices, which one of these relates to you, maybe you can pick one of those, and you can, pick up on words that are similar to English. Like, you probably know more than you're giving yourself credit for. So with these sessions, there's also accountability. So if you're one of the people that's struggling to be consistent with studying Spanish, when you're scheduling lessons with me and when you're paying money for a service you're invested in, then you're going to want to show up and you're going to want to make the most of that time and that money. And so doing so on a frequent basis will be a really helpful tool for you and will help you build up your Spanish skills and your Spanish conversation skills quickly, compared to trying to do it on your own. Now, it certainly is possible to learn Spanish on your own without this product, but this will be a helpful asset for most Spanish learners. Now, I also, like I said, you can certainly use any resources that you like. There's no required level of Spanish. So preferably you know at least a few words in Spanish to be able to communicate, but you don't have to be this perfect level. There's no moment where you go from not able to converse to suddenly you're able to converse fluently. You have to work through that awkward, that uncomfortable, that scary time. And it is, trust me, I know, I've been there. It is awkward, uncomfortable, and scary, but that's the only way you're going to get to that conversational level. So sure, when we first start out, there may be some pauses, there may be some un momento, and you have to go and look something up. That's totally fine. And the more that we practice that kind of thing, the less time you'll spend thinking about things and looking things up, and the more easily and naturally that the conversation will come to you. So this is a tool that I hope will be helpful to you. I would love to schedule a free consultation with you if you feel that this may be of interest to you. And we can chat over a video chat and just see what your goals are, what your background is, if I can help you out, and what we can work out. So I've also prepared a couple of samples from what these 15-minute sessions actually look like. So I've got a couple of clips right after this that you can watch just to get a feel for some different situations and contexts that may come up during Spanish conversation 15-minute sessions. And I've also got full-length videos that I will link to as well. So if you want to watch the full 15 minutes with a variety of different students of different backgrounds, levels, and interests, then you'll have that resource available to you as well. And of course, if you have any questions on this, please send me an email. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon for 15-minute Spanish conversation sessions.